cavern and that bullet just wins the game, that also works. Like, let's say we're against Doomsday Storm. They do run Force, usually, most likely. And you're just like, okay, well, we know he has a Force, but I'm going to tutor up an Eidolon. I'm going to play Cavern, name Spirit, play Eidolon, win. That's another way to use the Cavern, potentially. So if we don't know if it's a specific bullet, we'll name Wizard. If it is a specific bullet, you know, for like Snap, Jace Prince Prodigy, Safekeeper, Jailer, Magus Staticaster, and what was the other one? We had one more. Otherwise, I wouldn't consider it. What was it? It was Safekeeper, Staticaster, Magus, Snapcaster Mage, Jace, and there's a couple others, right? Wizard, Wizard, Wizard. 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 Okay. That's it, right? Wizard. Never played Pauper until today. Somebody wanted me to brew a Pauper Lumberjack. I might. I think the card's just underutilized, period. I think there's a lot of potential in the card. Could main deck the Lavamancer, by the way. You could. I don't like doing so because at least Staticaster pitches to Force. Whereas Lavamancer, if he's not good in the matchup, well, he's just a rock. He's a rock. Yeah, Lavamancer. Shane says run Bob. You could. I have Dark Confidants. Do you like Dark Confidant over Jace Prince Prodigy and Snapcaster? You know what's funny is, maybe the Snapcaster isn't, well, that's debatable. I like having a split of Jace and Snapcaster, but you can consider Dark Confidants, I suppose. Yes, we have some cards that are rather huge. I mean, you've got Forces, you've also got a Karanos. The rest of the deck is relatively small. You do have a Treasure Cruise, though. That would hurt pretty bad. Even though we decided to finally cut the Dig Through Time, which I'm sad about, because this deck does a pretty good job with the Dig Through Time. Let's test some Caverns. I don't hate this idea. It seems kind of neat. This could be another direction for the deck. We have to cut something somewhere. I mean, Tutors, maybe even another place we could go. This would be like the 5th survival. Basically, a lot of the time you just use the tutor to find the missing piece. If you're missing survival, that's what it gets. Just Jace is less valuable than Bob. Not necessarily. We've won plenty of games with, like, you'd be impressed with Jace Prince Prodigy can do. You'd be impressed with what a tutorable Planeswalker can do in Vintage. The fact that we can tutor for this off of the survival. You'd be impressed with what it can do. We may need to make a cut though if I'm going to test the demonic. Bob better than Cruz. Maybe. Well, here's a thought though. Like, when am I gonna tutor up Dark Confidant instead of Jace? Like, here's the thing. If we don't tutor up Snapcaster, like, okay. So, hold up. Let's talk about this because we let go of another card just recently. One of my favorites in the deck, and I miss it already. I had a Glenn at one point, and I had an Edric, or Edric, however you want to pronounce that. So, the benefits of Glenn and Edric over something like Confidant is that they're blue. This is another form of card advantage, and we do get out a bunch of just, like, small dudes, like Arbor, Safekeeper, Lumberjack, all of which could be turned into card advantage with Edric. Edric, of course, is more mana, but maybe the Edric is better than the Snapcaster. I don't know. In this style of deck, we have a lot of just creatures on the ground. The only creature that doesn't attack is Staticaster. Cut the Snap over the Jace. Okay. What about that? What if we went back to the Edric? I like Edric in this style of deck. It turns the Lumberjack into card draw. It turns the Arbor into card draw. It turns Safekeeper into card draw. Madness things like Big Game Hunter. Why would you want Big Game Hunter in Vintage? Why would you want Big Game Hunter in Vintage? Very macabre for the sideboard? No. I mean, like, Jailer's just really solid against Dredge. What's funny about most Dredge sideboards is they don't run creature removal, they run enchantment removal or artifact removal. Because those are the typical things that hate on them. They're used to being Leyline. They're used to being Rest in Peace. They're not used to being Jailered. Very few Dredge sideboards will actually have an out to Jailer. So Jailer is actually how I want to stay against things like, I mean, maybe it's the Demonic Tutor that's greedy. Maybe this is what's so greedy. Lumberjace. This tutor's pretty greedy, but I don't know. Especially since I just cut a couple fetch. Yeah. So we're less likely to hit the bayou. How many black sources is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 black source? Goblin says they run Barbarian Rings, that's about it. Okay. So they're gonna Barbarian Ring my Jailer? How do they get the Barbarian Ring into their hand, though? I guess they have to, like, they would have to, Bazaar into they'd have to Bazaar into it, though. Fox says just use Lumberjack to cast Allurin. No, I already brewed that for Legacy, dude. Yeah, Orcish Allurin. Where did we leave off on that deck? I thought it was really cool, by the way. Yeah, where is it? Allurin. How do I feel about Arena over Dark Confidant? I'd usually rather have a Confidant. I mean, it depends on the deck, though. Depends on the deck. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have a couple ideas. Let's run the recruiters. No, I think that the mana base would be too hard to support straight up 5-color Allurin. I think what you would do is if you really wanted to have access to the Recruiter, or the Academy Rector, and the Lumberjacks, and just be more about the red, you'd have to completely change the mana base. it would become a different deck. This would be more about the therapies as far as its disruption. Does it make sense? And these back to basics could just be Blood Moons. Basically, Explorers, you should be a little bit more resilient to Blood Moon. This would be a very different take on a Lauren, Lumber Lauren. Wait, Lumber Lauren? Lumber Lauren? I don't know how to pronounce it, I guess. But you know what I'm saying. Lumber Lauren. Yeah. Lumber Lauren. Legacy Splitter Twin? No, I want to do Lumber Lauren. You know, Lumber Lauren. Yeah. Yeah, you know, Lumber Lauren. Everybody plays Lumber Lauren, right? You know, 4-color Lauren doesn't run blue except for the Strix, the Stalker, and the Cavern Harpy, right? You know, Lumber Lauren. I've heard people say that before, right? I mean, that's like a thing, right? It's already a thing, right? Lumber Lauren? Totally. Absolutely. Exactly. You know, Lumber Lauren. It's a thing. Mystic Remore? What are you guys even talking about? Alright, yeah, Lumber Lord. Then you change the mana base. That's the hard part. For example, we don't need that much island anymore. We want basic mountains. At least one. Just one, obviously because it's a Blood Moon deck. Just one. That's not bad, Master. How's it going? Canonist, Revoker, Deed, Medley Mage, Sage, Deed, another Moon, 2 Power Blast. What else would you want? Maybe some Thoughtseize? If we're deciding to not build this as a blue deck, that means Agents, Visions, Brainstorms, Forces, maybe more in the realm for Thoughtseize or 2. No, try to build a deck around Recruiter. I mean, maybe you want Dark Confidants. Where do you go next? What's the next step? Do you just sideboard all the decays? Maybe like a Needle. Needle seems fine. Actually, you know what? We could run a Null Rod. We're not really using any artifacts. Null Rod, Needle, Decay, Seize, Canonist, Revoker. So what's tutorable? These are. This is tutorable, this is tutorable, this is tutorable, tutorable. Not tutorable, but good in this kind of shell. One more card. Maybe even just one more Blood Moon. Until I'm sure what it needs to be. Is there like a Planeswalker in this color combination besides Liliana? Liliana would be hard. This is a green-green deck. It is. I mean, Aloran. This is a green-green list. We need to be careful how many not forests we run, by the way. That's not a forest. We should maybe consider cutting it. That's not a forest. We should... No, Savannah is definitely a forest. I need the Savannah. Definitely need the Savannah, but the tower doesn't help us, the island doesn't help us, the mountain and the 2 swamps don't help us. Underground Sea we need to get cut. Run Domri? Probably not. I'd run like a Garrick. I'd run the Garrick that draws cards first. Cool thing about Garrick in a Lumberjack deck is you can turn to the Garrick. You can run Kronos too. I mean, it just depends on what you want to do with the Lumberjack.